When billionaire entrepreneur Elon Musk pulled into a McDonald's drive-thru one busy afternoon, he expected to grab a quick meal between meetings. He didn't expect to recognize the tired face at the window. How did Darren Reyes, once one of Tesla's most brilliant battery engineers, end up working in fast food? What would Elon do if he discovered the heartbreaking truth about Darren's fall from grace? In a world where talent is frequently discarded at the first sign of trouble, it only takes one person willing to look deeper to see the potential that others overlook. What follows is more than just a story about second chances, it's a powerful reminder that our greatest innovations can come from unexpected places and people. Elon Musk tapped his fingers against the steering wheel of his car. The traffic was bad, and he was hungry. 3 meetings down, 2 to go. His stomach growled. The large McDonald's sign ahead seemed like a golden invitation. Why not? He muttered to himself. He hadn't eaten fast food in months. Elon got into the drive-thru lane and waited. His phone buzzed with messages from the Tesla factory, but he ignored them this time. Only 5 minutes to get a burger and fries. That is all he needed. When he got to the ordering screen, it flickered and went. "Sorry about that, Black," called a voice from the speaker. "Our system keeps crashing today. Give me a second." Elon waited and checked his watch. The screen came back to life 30 seconds later. "That was quick," Elon said, impressed despite himself. "Just a quick reboot and code patch," the voice said. "What can I get you today?" Something about how the worker said code patch piqued Elon's interest. That wasn't your typical fast food employee talk. He drove up to the payment window after ordering a burger. The young man at the window had dark circles under his eyes and a name tag that said Darren. He appeared to be in his early 30s, with a tired smile that did not reach his eyes. "That'll be $8.79, Darren explained, holding out the card reader. As Elon handed over his credit card, he noticed a small notebook poking out of Darren's pocket. Complex drawings emerged from the edges. They resembled battery schematics. Elon squinted. There was something familiar about this man. The card machine beeped and turned black. "Not again," Darren sighed. Instead of calling for assistance, he took out the machine, flipped it over, and quickly opened a panel in the back. His fingers moved with practiced precision as he reset something internally. That's when something clicked. Elon was taken aback when he asked Darren Reyes. The man looked up, startled. Recognition flashed across his eyes, followed by shame. He quickly glanced down. "Your order will be ready at the next window, sir," Darren announced formally. "Darren Reyes, you worked on cooling the Model S battery system," Elon pressed. "One of our top engineers. What are you doing here?" Darren's supervisor walked behind him, and he flinched. "Mr. Musk, I need to keep this line moving. Please continue to the next window." His voice was tense. Elon drove forward, his thoughts racing. Darren Reyes had been a rising star at Tesla just 6 months before. His innovations had helped to solve critical issues such as battery overheating. And now he's fixing broken card readers at McDonald's. Something was extremely wrong. Instead of driving away after getting his food, Elon pulled into a parking spot. He took out his phone and searched through old Tesla emails until he discovered what he was looking for. A personnel notice was issued 6 months ago. Darren Reyes' employment was terminated. No explanation was given. Elon frowned. He did not personally oversee every firing, but an engineer of Darren's caliber should have been notified. He sent a quick text to his assistant. "Need to know why Darren Reyes left Tesla 6 months ago. Urgent." Through the window, Elon could see Darren working. Even from a distance, the man was clearly exhausted. His movements, however, were careful and precise. When the register froze again, Darren fixed it in seconds without contacting a manager. Elon was still sitting in his car after 40 minutes. He had cancelled his upcoming meetings. Certain things were more important. He watched as Darren removed his McDonald's hat and walked to the bus stop. His shoulders slumped. Elon got out of the car. "Darren," he called. Darren stopped and slowly turned around. Up close, he appeared even more tired. "Mr. Musk," he replied quietly. "I apologize for what happened earlier. I simply cannot lose this job." "What happened?" Elon asked. "You were doing excellent work at Tesla." Darren looked down at his worn shoes. "Life happens. I'm sure the report explains everything. I want to hear it from you," Elon said. "Have you got a few minutes to talk?" Darren checked his watch. Conflict was evident on his face. "I need to catch the 515 bus. My neighbor can only watch Maya until 6 o'clock. Maya, my daughter. She is 7. A ray of love shone through Darren's exhausted expression. "I can drive you home," Elon offered. "And I really want to know what happened." Darren paused, looking at the bus stop and then back to Elon. "Why do you care?" "Tesla has thousands of employees. Because I just witnessed one of the most brilliant engineers I've ever met fix a card reader at McDonald's." "And did you have battery designs in your pocket notebook?" Darren's hand automatically moved to the small notebook. "Just ideas," he mumbled. "Old habits." A bus pulled up to the stop. Darren watched it. "Torn." 20 minutes, Elon said. "That is all I am asking." The bus pulled away. Darren's shoulders dropped again, but he nodded. "There is a coffee shop next door. But I cannot be late getting home to Maya." Elon noticed as they walked that Darren's McDonald's uniform was spotless, despite the fact that he had worked a long day. The man still had pride. The coffee shop was almost empty. They sat at a corner table. Darren sat nervously on the edge of his seat. "So," Elon asked, "how does a senior Tesla engineer end up working the drive-thru?" Darren stared at his coffee cup. "It is a long story. I have time. But Maya does not." Darren's voice crackled slightly. "Look, Mr. Musk. I appreciate your curiosity. However, none of this changes anything. I made an error at Tesla. I paid for it. Right now, I'm just trying to keep my head above water." "What error?" Elon asked. "Your work was excellent." Darren's eyes widened in anger. "That's not what the termination letter stated." Elon's phone vibrated. A message from his assistant. "Reyes termination. False data was submitted for the battery test report. Victor Chambers approved it." Elon frowned. He knew Victor Chambers. The man was technically competent but extremely insecure. "Did you falsify test results?" Elon asked directly. Darren's head snapped upward. "I would never." He paused, took a deep breath. "It does not matter right now. It matters to me." Darren checked his watch again. "I need to go." As he stood to leave, the small notebook fell out of his pocket. It landed open on the ground, revealing pages of detailed technical drawings. Elon bent down to pick it up and couldn't help but stare at the designs. They were brilliant. Innovations to Tesla's existing battery systems, including cooling modifications he had never considered. "Have you been working on these while at McDonald's?" Elon inquired, amazed. Darren snatched the notebook back, his face flushed. "I just want to keep my mind sharp. As I previously stated, these are old habits." Elon made his decision. "Let me drive you home, Darren. Along the way, you can tell me about these designs. And what actually happened at Tesla." Darren stared at him for a long time, contemplating his options. "Maya requires dinner soon," he stated finally. "We'll pick something up," Elon promised. For the first time, Darren's face revealed a genuine smile. "Okay," he replied. "But I warn you, it is not a happy story. As they walked to the car, Elon had a strange sense that this unexpected detour was more important than any meeting he had cancelled today. Sometimes the most important discoveries come when you least expect them. Elon's sleek car seemed out of place in Darren's neighborhood. The streets were lined with small apartment buildings, most of which had peeling paint. Children played on a rusted playground nearby. Darren directed the third building on the right, pointing to a faded blue complex. Elon parked, and Darren fidgeted with his McDonald's name tag, eventually unpinning it and slipping it into his pocket. "We picked up chicken nuggets for Maya," Darren explained. "But I should warn you that my place is not very big." The apartment was located on the second floor. Before Darren could unlock the door, it swung open. An elderly woman with gray hair stood there, looking concerned. "You are late, Darren. Maya has been asking." She paused when she saw Elon. "Sorry, Mrs. Guzman. This is a former colleague. He gave me a ride home." Darren gave her a $5 bill. "Thank you for watching, Maya. How was she doing today?" She was tired from her treatment, but she perked up around 4. "She has been coloring." Mrs. Guzman accepted the money reluctantly. "You know I don't need it." "Please," Darren insisted. "You are already doing too much." After Mrs. Guzman left, Darren led Elon into a small living room. A small table was covered in crayons and paper. A girl's voice came from the next room. "Daddy, is that you?" "Yes, sweetie, I brought dinner." Darren's entire demeanor changed, and his voice brightened. "Come say hello. We've got a visitor." A thin girl with dark hair appeared at the doorway. She wore rocket ship-themed pajamas and a colorful scarf around her head. Her face lit up when she saw her father, but she studied Elon quietly. "Maya, this is Mr. Musk. He knew me from my previous job." Maya's eyes widened. "The space rocket man daddy has your photo in his folder." Darren's face turned red. "Maya." Elon smiled and knelt to Maya's level. "It's great to meet you, Maya. I brought some chicken nuggets. I hope that is okay." "Dinosaur ones?" she inquired, hopefully. "The best kind," Elon confirmed, holding up the bag. Maya discussed her day over dinner at their small kitchen table. "She'd gone to the hospital for medicine, which makes me tired, but then she worked on a special drawing." Elon noticed Darren looking at his daughter with a mix of love and worry. After Maya had eaten, Darren said, "Sweetie, why don't you watch your show while I talk to Mr. Musk?" After Maya had settled in front of the television, Darren sank onto the couch. He appeared even more exhausted at home than he did at work. He started 6 months ago, without prompting. Maya was diagnosed with a rare form of leukemia. Elon's expression softened. "I apologize. The doctors are optimistic, but treatment is costly, even with insurance." Darren rubs his eyes. "At the same time, I was developing a new cooling system for the Model S batteries. The project was behind schedule, and everyone was stressed." Darren stared at his hands. "Victor Chambers, my supervisor, was putting pressure on the team to deliver results. The preliminary tests didn't meet expectations. He summoned me to his office one Friday and instructed me to prepare the numbers for the Monday meeting with senior management." "Did you?" Elon asked quietly. "No," Darren replied firmly. "I told him I needed the weekend to run additional tests. I worked all weekend and barely slept." He came to a halt when he reached my wife. My ex-wife was infuriated. She was already struggling with Maya's diagnosis. Darren stood up and went to a drawer, pulling out a folder. He took a worn paper and handed it to Elon. "This is my original report. Over the weekend, I discovered a genuine solution. The tests looked promising." Elon scanned the document. The data appeared to be solid. "But that was not the case on Monday," Darren continued. "I emailed Victor this report on Sunday night. When I arrived at work on Monday morning, I was directed to HR. They showed me a different version of my report that contained clearly manipulated data. Victor claimed that I had sent it to him. And no one checked your email records, Elon inquired, frowning. Victor told them that I had confessed to him privately about falsifying data while distracted by my daughter's illness. Given my emotional state at the time, they trusted him. Darren's voice was bitter. I was fired on the spot with no severance. And then I realized I didn't have health insurance to cover Maya's treatment. Elon's jaw tightened. Why didn't you fight it? Contact. Is there someone higher up? Darren motioned around the apartment. Maya needed me. Her treatments could not wait. My wife was already talking about leaving. She couldn't cope with the stress of a sick child. She left 2 weeks after I was fired. He swallowed hard. I didn't have time to fight a large corporation. I needed a job, any job, right away. McDonald's was hiring. The manager took pity on me and gave me flexible hours around Maya's treatment. In the other room, Maya coughed. Darren immediately stood up. I should check on her. He returned moments later. She gets tired quickly. And your wife, Elon inquired gently, relocated to Phoenix with her sister. Sometimes she calls Maya. Darren's tone was carefully neutral. It is just us now. Elon looked around the apartment. Regardless of its size, it was immaculately clean. A calendar on the wall was full of medical appointments. A basket containing medications sat on the countertop. The notebook, Elon explained. Darren shrugged. You're still designing. It keeps me sane. When Maya is asleep or in treatment, I work on concepts. It's all theoretical right now, but... He trailed off. But you're missing the real work, which Elon completed. I miss making things that matter, Darren corrected. But Maya is more important. And right now, McDonald's is paying our rent. Maya appeared in the doorway, appearing sleepy. Daddy, I am tired. Of course, sweetie. Darren stood and apologized to Elon. It is past her bedtime. I should go, Elon said, rising. Thank you for sharing your story. I'm not sure why you wanted to hear it, Darren said. Everything remains the same. Elon watched as Darren gently lifted Maya and wrapped her small arms around his neck. The contrast between this caring father and the defeated man in his McDonald's uniform was striking. Maya called, "Good night, Mr. Space Rocket Man," over her father's shoulder. "Good night, Maya," Elon said softly. As Darren carried his daughter to bed, Elon spotted a drawing on the table. It showed what appeared to be a car with a smiling sun above it. It said in a child's handwriting, "Daddy's gas-free car." Elon carefully folded the original report and placed it in his pocket. He made a phone call from his car. "Cancel my meetings for tomorrow," he told his assistant. "And learn everything you can about Victor Chambers." Everything. Elon's luxury car felt different as he drove away from the small apartment building. He couldn't stop thinking about the brilliant engineer putting his daughter to bed, the notebook full of ideas that might never be realized, and the McDonald's hat stuffed in his pocket. Some falls were not related to failure at all. They sometimes talked about the strength it took to keep going when everything fell apart. The next evening, Elon's car arrived outside McDonald's just as Darren's shift was coming to an end. Darren stepped outside, surprised to see a familiar vehicle. "Mr. Musk," he inquired, approaching cautiously. "What are you doing here?" "I thought we could talk longer," Elon said. "Is Maya with her neighbor again?" Darren nodded. "Mrs. Guzman picks her up from her afternoon treatment every Tuesday. I have until 8 tonight." "Perfect. Will you join me for dinner?" "Not here," Elon said with a small smile. "Somewhere quieter." 20 minutes later, they sat in a corner booth of a small diner. Darren looked uncomfortable in his McDonald's uniform next to Elon's expensive suit. "I could have changed first," Darren said, tugging on his collar. "Food was more important," Elon said, pushing a menu toward him. "Order whatever you want." After they ordered, there was an awkward silence. Darren eventually broke it. "Mr. Musk, why are you doing this? I appreciate the dinner, but please call me Elon. And I'm doing this because I've been investigating your situation." Darren tensed. "I am not looking for charity." "Good, because that is not what I am offering." Elon leaned forwards. "I reviewed your original report, which you gave me yesterday. It is excellent work. It does not matter right now. It matters to me." Elon's voice was firm. "Tesla lost a brilliant engineer to what appears to be deliberate sabotage." Darren gazed down at the table. "Even if that is true, it occurred in the past. I've got other priorities now." "Maya," Elon said softly. "Her treatments work, but they are expensive. She requires stability." Darren's eyes met Elon's. "I cannot risk anything that could jeopardize that." Their food arrived, and Darren ate eagerly. Elon realized the man was probably skipping meals to save money. "Tell me about your notebook," Elon asked. "The designs I saw yesterday seemed interesting." For the first time, Darren's eyes lit up. He hesitated before removing the worn notebook from his pocket. "It's just ideas," he explained. "During slow periods at work, I think about the following." Elon took the notebook and started flipping through it. The pages were filled with detailed technical drawings, calculations, and notes. The majority concentrated on battery cooling systems, but others investigated efficiency improvements for various Tesla components. "You did all of this while working at McDonald's?" Elon inquired, amazed. Darren shrugged. "The French fryer allows me to think." One design piqued Elon's interest. A new configuration for cooling channels has the potential to reduce battery temperature by 18%. "This could solve our overheating problem with the new model," Elon said, tapping the page. "Have you ever run simulations?" Darren said, "Just in my head," with a sad smile. "I don't really have access to Tesla's software anymore." Elon continued to flip through the notebook, occasionally asking questions. As Darren explained his ideas, his whole demeanor changed. His voice became animated, and his hands moved as he explained how the systems would work. This was the real Darren, the engineer and innovator. "Why do we use batteries?" Elon asked. "Why are you so concerned about this technology?" Darren seemed surprised by the question. "Because it matters. Better batteries equals better electric vehicles. Better electric cars result in less pollution." He looked down. "Maya already has health issues, and dirty air only exacerbates them." The simple answer struck Elon. Darren wasn't just doing his job. He believed in the mission. "What would you do if you could return to Tesla?" Elon inquired suddenly. Darren stiffened. "That is not possible." Darren may have been quiet for a moment. "I would finish what I started. The cooling system could be 30% more efficient with the right design changes." He tapped a page of his notebook. "I also have ideas for cost-cutting measures in the manufacturing process." "Even after everything that happened, would you want to return?" "It was never about the company," Darren explained. "It was about the work. Creating something meaningful." His expression darkened. "But Victor would never accept it." "Victor does not make all of Tesla's decisions," Elon explained carefully. Hope flickered across Darren's face before dying. "Mr. Musk, Elon, I appreciate what you're doing. However, my life has changed since then. I have Maya to think about. And how will you pay for her treatments with a McDonald's salary?" Darren flinched. "I am getting by. Are you in?" "I have to." Darren's voice was firm. "For her." Elon observed the man across from him. "I felt tired, proud, brilliant, and broken all at once." Darren looked at his watch and said, "I need to pick up Maya soon." "Of course." Elon handed back the notebook. "Thank you for showing me your work." As they walked to the car, Darren appeared lost in thought. "Can I ask you a question?" he finally said. "Anything. Why is this important to you? Tesla employs thousands of individuals. You're running several businesses. Why should we care about one fired engineer?" Elon was silent for a moment. "Because talent like yours is uncommon." He paused because injustice bothered him. And maybe because everyone deserves another chance. Darren gazed out the window as he drove to pick up Maya. "I miss it," he said quietly. "The work and its purpose." "I understand," Elon said. In that simple exchange, something changed between them. A bridge of understanding was formed. One that would transform their lives in ways they could not have predicted. The next morning, Elon sat in his office at Tesla headquarters, staring at the original report Darren had given him. He compared it to the falsified version in the company files. The differences were subtle but significant. Someone with technical knowledge had carefully manipulated the test results to make Darren appear incompetent. Elon's assistant, Caitlin, knocked on the door. "You requested the complete file on Darren Reyes," she explained, placing a folder on his desk. "And Victor Chambers? Do you have that, too?" She nodded and set down another, thicker folder. "I also retrieved the emails between them from our server archives." "As requested." "Thank you. I need 2 hours without interruption." After she left, Elon delved into the files. Darren's employment record was spotless until his abrupt termination. His performance reviews described him as innovative, dedicated, and a key talent. In contrast, Victor's file showed a competent manager who had received numerous notes about his difficulty sharing credit and competitive approach to team management. The emails revealed an even more interesting story. Victor became increasingly hostile in the weeks leading up to Darren's firing. Darren's innovations were gaining attention from upper management, and Victor was clearly concerned. Then Elon discovered it. The smoking gun. Victor sent an email to the HR director on Sunday night, before Darren was fired. "I regret to inform you that Darren Reyes submitted falsified test data. Given his family situation, I recommend immediate termination over a lengthy investigation that will only prolong his suffering. I have attached the evidence." This email was sent hours after Darren submitted his actual report. Victor had acted quickly to frame Darren before anyone could see the actual data. Elon leaned back in his chair, his anger growing. He picked up the phone. "Caitlin, find out who is currently in charge of battery development. I need to meet today." 30 minutes later, Elon sat across from Lin Chen, the current battery division director. "We haven't met before," Elon explained. "You took over after Victor Chambers' promotion?" Lin nodded. 6 months ago, Victor relocated to the new German factory. Elon slid the original report across his desk. "Are you familiar with the cooling system design?" Lin looked at it with wide eyes. "This looks like the answer we've been looking for." "Where did you get it?" "From the original creator, Darren Reyes." Lin's expression changed. "The engineer who was fired for falsifying information? However, this appears to be legitimate." "It is." Victor Chambers altered Darren's work and framed it. Elon described what he had discovered. Lin seemed troubled. "That is disturbing. But why are you bringing this to me?" "Because I'm thinking about bringing Darren back to Tesla, and he would work in your division." "Rehire a person who was fired for misconduct?" "That would be against company policy," Lin explained cautiously. "The misconduct never occurred, and company policies can change." Lin read the report again. "What about this design? We've been stuck on this problem for several months. He has the ability to put this into action. And he has more ideas." Elon tapped his fingers on the desk. "However, I need to know if you would support his return." "Professionally?" "Absolutely." Lin was unsure whether his technical skills would be useful. "However, there is a team to consider. Victor still has supporters here who believe Darren was rightfully fired. Let me worry about it, Elon said. I appreciate your candor. As Lynn left, Elon summoned HR and legal to a meeting. They spent the next hour discussing the implications of Darren's situation. The HR director acted defensively. We use standard procedures based on the evidence presented, she insisted. Elon countered with evidence that had been falsified, showing her a comparison of reports. Victor Chambers tricked you into firing one of our top engineers. Even if that's true, the editor legal counsel argues that rehiring a terminated employee sets a precedent. Each fired employee will request a second review. Only if they were framed by a jealous boss, Elon replied dryly. The debate continued until Elon stood up. This is not really a discussion. This is a notification. I'm correcting a mistake that cost this company a valuable asset and almost ended a man's life. The only question is how to handle it. Elon stared out after they left, looking unhappy. The window. One more piece required attention. Victor Chambers was in Germany, but he answered his video call quickly. Mr. Musk. Victor seemed surprised and nervous. This is unexpected. I've been reviewing some old projects, Elon said casually. The battery cooling system used last year. Interesting work. Victor shifted uncomfortably. Yes, this is a challenging project. We were eventually able to resolve the issue. Victor's face turned pale after firing the engineer who had solved the problem. I am not sure what you mean. Darren Reyes. Elon held up the original report. I have his original submission as well as the version you doctored in order to fire him. That is absurd. I would never. I also have your emails from the planning phase, as well as metadata from when you changed the files. Elon's voice was cold. The only thing I do not have is your explanation. Victor gulped hard. It was a hard time. The deadlines were tight. Reyes was preoccupied with his personal issues. So, you ruined his career. I made a decision. Call for the benefit of the company. Victor spoke stiffly. No, you were threatened by someone more intelligent than you. So, you got rid of him. Elon leaned closer to the screen. This is what happens next. You intend to write a full confession and submit your resignation. You cannot be serious. A single error should not be enough. It was not a mistake. It was deliberate sabotage against a colleague and the company. If you do not resign, I will fire you publicly and make sure everyone understands why. After leaving the call with a shaken Victor, Elon called Darren one last time. Can we meet tomorrow? I would like to discuss something important. That evening, Elon went over the material again. The company's policies, the legal implications, and the potential backlash from other managers who were concerned about setting a precedent. It would be easier to simply offer Darren a generous settlement and move on. Then he remembered Maya's drawing. Daddy's car doesn't need gas. And Darren's words. It was about creating something meaningful. Some injustices cannot be remedied with money. Some required bolder action. As the sun set over the Tesla factory, Elon Musk made his decision. One that would quickly make headlines around the globe. The next morning, Elon sat in his office, his executive team arguing around him. This sets a dangerous precedent, according to Mira, the head of human resources. Every fired employee will believe they deserve another chance. Jared from legal added that the board will not like the disruption. This could prompt policy reviews in all divisions. It is a lawsuit waiting to happen. Another executive joined in. Elon watched them argue, his fingers tapping on Darren's notebook, which was open on his desk. He finally spoke, and the room fell silent. I did not call you here for permission, he said quietly. I called to inform you of my decision and to ask for your assistance in putting it into action. Mira frowned. We're simply trying to protect the company. And who defended Darren Reyes when he was wrongfully terminated? Who is protecting his daughter, Maya, who requires medical care that her father can only afford on a McDonald's salary. Elon stood up. Sometimes doing the right thing is not the easiest option. What exactly are you proposing? Asked Lin Chen, who had been quiet until now. Not simply rehiring Darren. I'd like to create a new position for him. Special projects focus on TV and battery innovation. He will report directly to you, Lin, but with the freedom to pursue the ideas in this notebook. Elon taps the worn pages. And I'd like to backdate his employment so that his health insurance covers Maya's treatments without a gap. Jared grimaced. That is exceeding legal bounds. Then figure out a way to make it legal, Elon replied. This is why Tesla pays you. Following further debate, the team reluctantly began working on the details. When they left, Elon looked out the window at the busy factory below. Was he making the right decision? The business decision would be to uphold company policy while avoiding complications. However, this was not purely a business decision. His phone vibrated with a message from Caitlin. Darren Reyes is here. Elon discovered Darren waiting nervously in the lobby, dressed out of place in his best shirt, which was clearly worn but carefully ironed. Thank you for coming, Elon said, leading him into a small conference room away from prying eyes. Your message seemed important, Darren said. Is this about Victor? Partly. Elon sat across from him. I've been looking into what happened 6 months ago. Victor manipulated your report and framed you. Darren's jaw tightened, but he did not appear surprised. I suspected as much. He has been asked to resign. A flash of satisfaction appeared on Darren's face, but it was quickly replaced by weariness. That doesn't change much for me or Maya. But thanks for informing me. Actually, it alters everything. Elon put a folder on the table. This is a job offer. Darren stared at the folder, not touching it. A job offer? At Tesla? Special. Projects take the lead in battery innovation. You would report to Lin Chen but have the freedom to work on your own projects, including the designs in your notebook. Darren's hand trembled slightly as he opened the folder. His eyes widened at the salary figure. This is more than I've made before. It reflects your value to the company, Elon stated simply. The position also includes full health benefits, which begin immediately. For you and Maya. Darren looked up, his eyes filled with unshed tears. Why would you do that? The company fired me. Policies. Policies are designed to benefit people, not the other way around. Elon leaned forwards. Tesla lost more than it realized when you were fired. This is not charity, Darren. It is good business. Darren stared at the offer letter, conflict on his face. What if? What if I am unable to deliver? Maya's treatments require time. Some days I am exhausted just keeping her spirits up. We will work around your schedule and from home as needed. And if the board disagrees with your decision, Elon smiled lightly. Let me worry about the board. Still, Darren hesitated. It appears too good to be true. Second chances often work. Elon's voice softened. Maya deserves a father who can use his full potential, not just survive day to day. And you deserve the opportunity to build something meaningful. Those words, so similar to Darren's own, finally broke through. He shook his hand as he picked up the pen to sign the offer letter. I'm not sure how to thank you, he said quietly. Elon replied, build amazing things. That's all the thanks I need. When they shook hands, neither man could have predicted how. This decision would have far-reaching consequences, inspiring countless others around the world in addition to changing their own lives. Elon felt it was simply the right thing to do. For Darren, it was the second chance he had given up hope for. Maya didn't realize it at the time, but it was the start of a new chapter in her life. One in which her father could be both the provider she required and the innovator he was destined to be. Darren sat on the edge of Maya's bed that evening, his heart racing with both excitement and fear. How could he explain such a miracle to a 7-year-old? "Daddy has some news, sweetie," he said, smoothing her colorful scarf. Maya glanced up from her drawing. "Good or bad news?" "Good news. Very good news." He took a deep breath. "Remember Mr. Musk, the spaceman who brought us dinosaur nuggets?" Maya nodded enthusiastically. "He offered Daddy a job with his car company, where I used to work before." Maya's eyes widened. "The place with the cool cars that don't require gas?" "That's correct. And with this job, we won't have to worry as much about money. And your medication will be easier to obtain." Maya examined her father's face. For all her youth, she knew more than most adults did. "Will you still transport me to the hospital for treatment?" "Of course, I will," Darren stated, hugging her. "My new boss says I can work from home whenever you need me. There is nothing more important than you. Will you be happy, Daddy?" Maya inquired suddenly. "Like before I got sick?" The question took Darren off guard. Had his daughter been carrying that worry all along? "Maya," he said, kneeling beside her bed, "I am always happy when I am with you. But, yes, I'll be even happier doing work I enjoy again." Maya smiled. "Then it's extremely good news." That night, after Maya had fallen asleep, Darren called Mrs. Guzman to inform her of his news. He then moved to the kitchen table and spread out his notebook. For the first time in months, he allowed himself to fully embrace the ideas that were racing through his mind, sketching until well after midnight. The following morning, Darren stood outside the Tesla factory, his old employee badge freshly reactivated in his hand. The familiar structure loomed before him, both inviting and intimidating. "Dirt seat. You can do this," he said to himself. Lin Chen waited inside to show him to his new workspace, a small office with a window overlooking the factory floor and a high-end computer workstation. Lin explained that Elon suggested that you use good simulation software for your designs. "This has everything you could possibly want." Darren ran his fingers over the desk, unable to believe it was real. "Thank you. The team meeting begins in 30 minutes. I will introduce you then." Lin hesitated. "I should warn you that not everyone is thrilled with your return. Victor had friends here." Darren nodded, the happiness of the moment fading slightly. "I understand." The Bob team meeting was as uncomfortable as Lin had predicted. Some engineers greeted Darren warmly, especially those who had previously worked directly with him, while others were cold and avoided eye contact. A tall woman named Aisha approached him afterwards. "I heard you got special treatment from Musk himself," she said, keeping her tone neutral. "That's quite the comeback." "It's not how I wanted to return," Darren admitted, "but I appreciate the second chance." "Just don't expect everyone to roll out the red carpet," she said. "Victor informed people that you falsified data. Some people still believe him." Darren felt the weight of suspicious glances and whispered conversations for the entire first week. He concentrated on his work, delving into cooling system designs from his notebook, but isolation wore him down. On Friday, he noticed a note on his desk. "Fraud. You do not belong here." That evening, he sat with Maya during her treatment, watching her fall asleep as medication dripped through her fore. Elon had sent him a message, which made his phone buzz. "How was your first week?" Darren hesitated before typing honestly. "Challenging. Not everyone believes I deserve a second chance." Elon replied quickly. "Building trust takes time. Allow your work to speak for itself." The following week was better. Darren presented his cooling system concept during a department meeting. The technical brilliance of his design was undeniable, and even skeptics appeared impressed. Aisha approached him afterwards. She admitted that the configuration could actually work. "The simulations appear promising. Do you want to help test the prototype?" Darren offered. "I could use another set of eyes." Bridges slowly began to form. Not with everyone. Some remained distant, but enough to make Darren feel less like an outsider. 1 month into his new job, Darren received wonderful news. Maya's doctors reported that her cancer was responding positively to treatment. Her prognosis was improving. On the same day, the first prototype of his cooling system outperformed all expectations during testing. When he told Elon about both pieces of news, the CEO suggested they celebrate. "Bring Maya to the factory on Saturday," Elon suggested. "I will give her a personalized tour." Maya's eyes were huge as she walked through the Tesla factory, her butterfly headscarf standing out against the industrial background. Employees smiled at her enthusiasm as she looked at the robots and assembly lines. "This is where Daddy's ideas come to life," Elon told her, holding her small hand. Maya whispered, as if by magic. Elon kneeled beside her. "It's not magic, Maya. It's just human creativity and hard work. Your father possesses unique skills that contribute to the improvement of automobiles." "I understand," Maya said seriously. "He fixed our broken toaster and made my special star-shaped nightlight." Elon laughed. "Exactly." As they toured the facility, Darren noticed something remarkable. The same employees who had been cold to him smiled at Maya, asked her questions, and demonstrated how things worked. His daughter was breaking down barriers. At the end of the tour, Elon surprised them both. "Maya, I've got something for you." He presented her with a small Tesla car. "This is the first car to use your father's new cooling system. You contributed to its inspiration." "I did," Maya inquired, wide-eyed. "You succeeded," Elon confirmed, "by reminding your father of what is most important." As they drove home, Maya clutched her model car, and Darren reflected on how chaotic his life had become. "In less than a month, we went from McDonald's to Tesla. From despair to hope." "Daddy," Maya said sleepily from the back seat. "I believe Mr. Musk is a superhero. He fixes things." Darren smiled. "Perhaps he does, in his own way." What neither Darren nor Maya realized was that Elon's repair was only the beginning, and that their story would soon extend far beyond Tesla's walls. Monday morning presented an unpleasant surprise. When Darren arrived at his office, he found a small group of employees whispering around his door. They scattered when they saw him, but not before he noticed what had piqued their interest. A photo of Maya's factory tour with Elon was taped to his door, along with a printed article from the company newsletter. The headline read, "Musk's Pet Project, Fired Engineer Receives Special Treatment." Darren's stomach tightened as he pulled down the article. The text was worse than the headline, implying that his return was a publicity stunt and questioning his qualifications. Inside his office, he discovered an email from Victor to the entire engineering department, sent from his personal account. "Colleagues, I feel compelled to warn you about the dangerous precedent being set by Darren Reyes. His return undermines our policies and procedures. Do not be misled by heartwarming stories. Data does not lie. I stand by my initial assessment of his work. This is about catering to a CEO's whims, not technical merit." Darren's hands trembled as he shut the email. Everything he'd accomplished in the previous month felt suddenly fragile. Lin Chen appeared in his doorway, visibly concerned. "I saw the email. Victor is being spiteful." "It's working," Darren said quietly. "I noticed the looks this morning." Lin suggested focusing on prototype testing. "Results speak louder than rumors." However, Darren noticed a difference throughout the day. When he entered a room, the conversation stopped. Lunch invitations disappeared. Even Aisha, who had been warming up to him, maintained her distance. That evening, at Maya's doctor's appointment, Darren couldn't concentrate on the good news about her rising blood counts. His thoughts kept returning to Victor's email and the article. "Daddy, are you listening?" Maya asked, tugging at his sleeve. "Sorry, sweetheart. Daddy is just thinking about work. Is it broken again? Can you fix it like you did the toaster?" Darren smiled sadly. If only workplace relationships were as straightforward as appliance repair. The next morning, Darren arrived early, determined to endure the discomfort. To his surprise, Elon was waiting in his office. I saw Victor's email, Elon's statement without preamble, and the newsletter piece. Darren sighed. I'm trying not to let it affect my work. Good, because I need to perfect the prototype for the board presentation next week. Elon fixed him with his intense gaze. This is your opportunity to silence the doubters. No pressure, Darren said with a weak smile. I wouldn't have brought you back unless I believed you could handle it. Elon stood to leave and then paused. By the way, how is Maya? Better. The doctors remain cautiously optimistic. Elon nodded. Children are incredibly resilient. So are engineers who have been knocked down. With that cryptic remark, he left. Inspired. Because of Elon's confidence, Darren threw himself into finalizing the prototype. He worked late every day that week and asked Mrs. Guzman to watch Maya. The cooling system was revolutionary. Simpler, more efficient, and less expensive to produce than anything Tesla had tried before. But doubt crept in. What happens if it fails during the demonstration? What if Victor was correct about him? Darren worked until midnight the night before the board presentation, checking every detail 4 times. He nearly jumped out of his skin when Aisha appeared in his doorway. Are you still here? She inquired, surprised. Final checks, he explained cautiously, unsure of her intentions. Aisha hesitated before entering his office. I wanted to apologize for how people have treated you. Victor has supporters here. I have noticed. I didn't know him well, but something seemed off about the way he handled people. She viewed Darren's designs on the screen. For what it's worth, this cooling system is fantastic. I verified your math myself. Did you? Engineering is not about popularity contests. It's about resolving problems. She smiled slightly. And you solved a problem we'd been stuck on for months. That small vote of confidence meant more to Darren than she could imagine. The following day's board presentation got off to a bad start. Several board members appeared bored before Darren even began. One was openly scrolling his phone. But when the test results showed a 27% increase in cooling efficiency and a 15% decrease in manufacturing costs, the atmosphere changed. Questions became more engaging. Even the phone scroller put the device away. Elon, watching from the back of the room, gave Darren a subtle nod of approval. Following the presentation, a senior board member approached Darren. Excellent work, young man. That was quite a return. Where were you before? McDonald's? Darren tensed, bracing for mockery. But the man remained sincere. My son worked at Burger King throughout college. Good and honest work. But this? He motioned toward the prototype. Your talents belong here. Walking back to his office, Darren felt better than he had in weeks. His phone vibrated with a text from Maya's doctor. Her most recent test results showed significant improvement. 2 pieces of good news in a single day. Perhaps things were turning around. He didn't notice the reporter from the Wall Street Journal being led through the building. Or how Elon pointed him out from a distance. He had no idea that Victor's angry emails had spread beyond Tesla. Or that Elon was planning a public statement that would change everything. The real storm, and the real opportunity, had just begun. 3 days after Darren's board presentation, the Wall Street Journal published an article titled, From Drive-Through to Driving Innovation. The engineer received a second chance. The article described Darren's story in detail. His dismissal was unfair. His struggle as a single father raising a sick child. And his unexpected encounter with Elon Musk at McDonald's. The article concluded with a bold quote from Elon. Americans talk about second chances. However, we often discard brilliant minds due to office politics or personal circumstances. Darren's story is not about a single engineer. It's about the talent that goes unused in this country on a daily basis. Darren almost spilled his coffee when he saw the article. His phone immediately began to buzz with messages from former colleagues and friends. When he arrived at Tesla, the entire building was buzzing about it. Lin Chen waited at his office door. "Did you know about it?" Darren shook his head, still shocked. "I had no idea." "So, you're now famous?" Lin replied with a wry smile. "Elon wants to see you right away." Elon was pacing in his office when Darren entered. "Good to see you here. I assume you've seen the article." "Yes." "Why didn't you let me know about the interview?" "Because I knew you'd be concerned about the attention," Elon responded. "But your story deserved to be told. The article describes you as a hero and Victor as a villain." Darren spoke uncomfortably. "Isn't this exactly what happened?" Elon stopped pacing. "Furthermore, it is already making an impact. The company's stock is up this morning. People relate to stories about doing the right thing." Before Darren could reply, Elon's assistant interrupted with an urgent message. "The story has been covered by major news outlets. Several people have requested interviews with both of you." Elon grinned. "People care about this." Darren felt overwhelmed. "I simply want to focus on my work." "And you will," Elon reassured him. "But first, I've got a new challenge for you." Elon explained that the board was impressed by Darren's cooling system, but wanted more. They gave him a critical assignment. The next generation of batteries will address the long-standing efficiency issue. The problem that had plagued the engineering team for months. "If you succeed," Elon promised, "no one will ever question your position at Tesla again. You will have 6 weeks." 6 weeks? Darren's eyes widened. "That is not enough time. That's all the board would give." "They are still testing you, Darren." As Darren exited Elon's office, his mind raced with the technical complexities of the new project. It wasn't just a challenge. It was a test to see if he truly deserved his second chance. The attention generated by the article created a strange new reality for Darren. Colleagues who had previously avoided him now sought his opinion. Others appeared resentful of his sudden fame. A small gift appeared on his desk. A toy McDonald's drive-thru set with the message, "Don't forget where you came from." That afternoon, Maya's school called. She was feverish and needed to be picked up immediately. Darren discovered her in the nurse's office, pale and tired. She whispered, "Daddy, I don't feel good." At the hospital, the doctors confirmed Darren's fears. Cancer was fighting back. Maya would require more aggressive treatment, beginning immediately. "How long will she be hospitalized?" Darren inquired, his heart sinking. "At least 2 weeks," the doctor responded. "And she'll need to be closely monitored afterward." Maya needed Darren more than ever after he faced his most difficult challenge yet. The timing could not have been worse. He called Elon from the hospital and explained the situation. "Take as much time as you need," Elon said immediately. "Family comes first. However, the battery project will continue to exist. We can extend the deadline." But Darren knew the board wouldn't see things that way. This was his opportunity to prove himself. And he was going to miss it. That night, while Maya slept in her hospital bed, Darren made a decision. He refused to choose between being there for his daughter and proving himself at work. He'd somehow managed to do both. The next morning, Darren arrived at the hospital carrying his laptop and notebooks. He set up a small workstation next to Maya's bed while she slept. When she awoke, he read to her and helped her eat. When she napped, he worked on battery calculations. After 3 days of this routine, Darren received a surprise visit. Aisha appeared at Maya's doorway, carrying a stuffed bear. "Lin told me where you were," she said. "The team wanted to send something for Maya." Maya, weak but smiling, gladly accepted the bear. "How do you manage the project?" Aisha asked Darren quietly. He showed her his makeshift workspace. "Not ideal, but I am making progress." Aisha studied his notes. You are approaching this from an unusual angle. It's the only way I see to overcome the efficiency barrier. It's interesting. She paused. Would you like some assistance? I could deliver your simulation results every day. That marked the start of an unexpected partnership. Aisha would visit Maya every day, bringing her small gifts from the Tesla team and engaging in technical discussions with Darren. Other members of the team started paying visits as well. Maya's hospital room turned into an impromptu engineering hub. As Maya's second week in the hospital began, she felt strong enough to draw while the engineers spoke. She occasionally listened to their conversations and asked innocent questions that led to surprising insights. Maya was playing with the building blocks brought to her by a colleague one afternoon while Darren worked on a particularly difficult configuration problem. "Daddy, look," she said. "I built a tower that won't fall." Darren gave a quick glance over and then came to a stop. Maya had stacked the blocks in an unusual pattern, alternating between larger and smaller pieces to distribute weight more efficiently than a standard stack. "Maya," he asked slowly, "can I take a picture of your tower?" That night, after Maya fell asleep, Darren worked tirelessly. His daughter's innocent block arrangement prompted a new approach to battery cell design. What if they used different materials in a similar pattern? It could potentially solve the efficiency problem in a completely new way. By morning, he had preliminary calculations that appeared promising. When Aisha arrived, he demonstrated the concept. She expressed surprise that this could actually work. "It's unlike anything we've tried." Darren watched Maya sleep and proudly said, "My daughter, the engineer." Over the next week, as Maya's condition gradually improved, the new battery design took shape. Tesla's team built the first prototype to Darren's specifications, with Aisha overseeing the process. Aisha brought news of Maya's release from the hospital. The preliminary tests revealed a potential efficiency improvement of 23%, far exceeding what the board had requested. Carrying Maya to the car gave Darren a sense of accomplishment unlike anything he'd felt before. He refused to choose between his daughter and his job, and he ended up succeeding in both. What he didn't realize was that his unconventional approach to the challenge would soon inspire a shift within Tesla and beyond. 2 days after Maya returned home from the hospital, Darren returned to Tesla to conduct official testing of his new battery design. The lab was crowded with engineers and board members. Elon stood to the side and watched quietly. The lead technician explained the testing procedure. "We'll test the battery under extreme temperature and stress conditions to see if the efficiency gains hold up." Darren held his breath as the test started. The first results were displayed on the large screen. Efficiency improved by 22.8%. Several people gasped. "These numbers cannot be correct." One engineer muttered, "Run it again." The second test resulted in 23.1%. The third percentile is 22.9%. Lin Chen looked at Darren with wide eyes. "How did you handle this when our entire team couldn't?" Darren smiled as he thought of Maya's block tower. "Sometimes we need to look at problems from a child's perspective." As more tests confirmed the breakthrough, excitement grew in the room. Board members huddled together, speaking quietly. Elon approached Darren with a rare look of genuine surprise on his face. "You did this while sitting in a hospital room?" Darren nodded. "With help from the team, particularly Aisha." "It's not just about increased efficiency," Aisha explained. "His design requires 18% fewer rare materials and simplifies the manufacturing process." Elon reviewed the test results. "This changes everything. Not only for our current models, but for the entire product pipeline." The following day, Darren was asked to present his breakthrough to the entire engineering department. Standing at the front of the crowded room, he experienced a sudden bout of imposter syndrome. He had been working a drive-through window only 2 months before. "Many of you know my story," he said nervously. "But you might not be aware that this battery design was inspired by my daughter's block tower in her hospital room." He displayed a photograph of Maya's creation alongside his technical diagrams, explaining how her innocent play inspired his insight. I've discovered that innovation can come from anywhere, including a child's game. And that our most difficult challenges can also lead to our most significant breakthrough. As Darren explained the technical details, he noticed the room's tone shift from skepticism to excitement. Engineers were taking notes and whispering to each other. By the time he was done, the atmosphere was electric. An older engineer raised his hand. "Did you develop this while caring for your daughter in the hospital?" "Yes," Darren responded. "I refused to choose between being there for her and fulfilling my responsibilities. So I discovered a way to accomplish both." The engineer nodded thoughtfully. "Perhaps we should all spend more time in pediatric hospitals." Laughter spread throughout the room. But Darren sensed a deeper meaning in the comment. A recognition that innovation thrives in unexpected settings. Following the presentation, a board member approached Darren. "We will start implementing your design immediately. This will increase the range of our entire fleet." "Thank you." Darren insisted that it wasn't just me. "Aisha and the team followed your lead." I signed when the board member was interrupted. "Don't underestimate your accomplishments, young man." That evening, Elon summoned Darren to his office. "I've been thinking about your process. The way you collaborated from the hospital with a team that came to you. It was not ideal," Darren admitted. "Actually, it was revolutionary." Elon paced the room quickly. "What if we developed a new innovation model based on your experiences? Flexible work environments. Cross-functional teams gathered to address real-world problems. Fewer boundaries. Do you want to change Tesla's entire R&D strategy based on my 2 weeks in a hospital room?" "I want to learn from it," Elon corrected. Great innovation rarely occurs in boardrooms or on a schedule. Before Darren could respond, Elon's assistant interrupted with some breaking news. The Wall Street Journal published a follow-up article about Darren's battery breakthrough, revealing that it was developed in his daughter's hospital room. The headline read, "Tesla's hospital room innovation transforms the EV game." "Perfect timing," Elon said with satisfaction. "Now consider this new innovation model. I'd like you to help design it." In the weeks that followed, Darren's battery breakthrough was put into production, and his story spread across the tech industry. Other companies began to question their own strict workplace structures and dismissal policies. Maya continued to improve, and her treatments worked better than the doctors had anticipated. She became a regular visitor to Tesla, where engineers would show her their projects and ask her opinion. One afternoon, Aisha discovered Darren in the break room, staring at his phone in surprise. "What is wrong?" she asked. "My ex-wife called. She saw the articles. She wants to come back." His voice sounded flat. "She claims she made a mistake leaving us." "What are you going to do?" Darren sighed. "Maya requires stability, not confusion." "I told her no." Aisha squeezed his shoulder in a supportive manner. The following week brought another surprise. Victor Chambers unexpectedly returned from Germany, demanding to meet with the battery team. He claimed that the new design was flawed and would eventually fail. In a tense engineering review, Victor presented simulations of potential problems. "This rushed design will harm Tesla's reputation," he insisted. The room fell silent, and all eyes turned to Darren. 2 months ago, he would have avoided this confrontation. But he was not the same anymore. He calmly walked through Victor's simulations, pointing out incorrect assumptions and manipulated parameters. "These are not genuine concerns," he concluded. "They're an attempt to discredit work you didn't complete." Victor's face turned red. "You have no rights." "I have every right," Darren interrupted. "I've earned my place here twice." After Victor stormed out, several engineers praised Darren for standing his ground. But the confrontation made him uneasy. Victor was not the type to give up quickly. Later that week, while working late at his office, Darren received an unexpected package. Inside, there was a framed photo of Maya's block tower alongside the battery diagram it had inspired. Elon's note read, "The greatest insights come from the purest perspectives. This belongs on Tesla's wall of innovation." Darren placed the frame on his desk, feeling a warm sensation run through him. His idea was not only implemented, but also celebrated. He had no idea at the time that Victor was already plotting his revenge. And that when it arrived, it would jeopardize everything Darren had built. The company-wide presentation of the new battery technology was scheduled for Thursday morning. It was a pivotal moment for Tesla and Darren. Engineers from all divisions would be present, as would the board and key investors. Darren had practiced his presentation with Maya the night before. She sat on their couch, giggling as he used exaggerated gestures to explain complex concepts. "Daddy, you look silly," she said. "I am nervous, sweetheart. Many important people will be watching tomorrow." Maya tilted her head. "But you already know how it works, right? You showed me the tests." "Such simple wisdom." "You're correct," Darren smiled. "I know it works." The following morning, the presentation hall was packed. Darren noticed Aisha giving him a thumbs up from the front row. Elon stood in the back, phone in hand, eyes fixed on the stage. As Darren was about to start, Victor Chambers entered the room and took a seat near the front. The sight of him made Darren's mouth dry, but he forced himself to concentrate. This was his moment. The presentation ran smoothly. Darren clearly explained the technology, recognizing the team's efforts and Maya's inadvertent inspiration. The audience reacted with enthusiastic applause. Then came the question and answer session. Several engineers asked Darren technical questions, which he answered confidently. Elon nodded approvingly in the back. Victor raised his hand just as the session was about to end. Lin Chen, the moderator, hesitated before reluctantly calling on him. Victor exclaimed, "I have serious concerns about the long-term stability of this design. In fact, I ran extensive simulations that revealed potential catastrophic failures after around 800 charge cycles." Murmurs sounded throughout the audience. Victor stood and approached the stage, holding a tablet. "May I?" he asked, reaching for the presentation controls. Before Darren could object, Victor connected his tablet and showed complex simulation results on the screen. The data showed that the battery design failed dramatically over time. These findings directly contradict Mr. Reyes' claims. Victor proceeded smoothly. Either his testing was ineffective, or he paused meaningfully. He is once again presenting manipulated data. The room went silent. Darren stared at the simulation results, confused. These numbers couldn't be correct. His designs were repeatedly tested. "I don't understand the results," Darren admitted. "Given your close relationship with management, Victor suggested that you arrange for friendly testing." From the corner of his eye, Darren noticed Elon move toward the front of the room. But before Elon could intervene, Aisha rose. "These simulations use incorrect material. Parameters," she stated firmly. "I recognize those numbers. As a result, we use the old battery composition rather than the new one." Victor's face flushed slightly. "I followed the parameters given to me." "By whom?" Aisha interrupted. "Because I personally performed the verification tests with the proper parameters, and our results revealed no degradation issues." A tense silence enveloped the room. Darren noticed investors whispering to one another nervously. Suddenly, Elon appeared on stage. "I believe we all need clarity on this," he stated calmly. He turned to Victor. "Would you mind if our systems team examined your tablet? Just checking the parameters used in your simulation." Victor clutched his tablet more tightly. "That will be unnecessary. I could explain." Elon insisted that it was necessary. "Either your concerning results are correct, which is a serious issue that we must address, or they aren't. Let us find out." "Which?" When Victor paused, Elon added, "Unless there is something on the tablet that you do not want us to see." The tension in the room was intense enough to cut. Finally, Victor reluctantly handed over his tablet to one of the IT staff. Elon had summoned. It only took a few minutes to discover the truth. The IT specialist projected Victor's screen for everyone to see. He stated that the simulations were intentionally set up with incorrect parameters. Material specifications were deliberately changed to ensure failure. Gasps echoed throughout the room. Victor's face became pale. Furthermore, the specialist persisted. I discovered email evidence indicating that Mr. Chambers attempted to access Mr. Reyes' test results and change them before today's presentation. However, our security protocols prevented this from happening. All eyes were on Victor, who was backing toward the door. Victor, Elon said quietly. I believe we should continue the discussion in my office. Now. As Victor was led out, the room erupted into conversation. Darren stood frozen on stage. He was overwhelmed by the enormity of what had just happened. Aisha joined him on the podium. You okay? I don't know, Darren replied honestly. I knew he disliked me. But he couldn't stand that you succeeded where he failed, she explained. Some people can't bear to see others succeed. As the audience slowly dispersed, Darren noticed several board members approaching. Their expressions had shifted from concern to respect. Mr. Reyes, said one. I think we owe you an apology. The board member extended a hand to Darren. We should have looked into your dismissal more thoroughly 6 months ago. Thank you, sir, Darren responded, still processing what had just happened. No, thank you, the board member insisted. Your battery design will change the entire product line. Within hours, word of Victor's public disgrace spread throughout Tesla. By afternoon, the story had spread to tech blogs, along with eyewitness accounts of the dramatic confrontation. Victor was officially terminated. This time, a detailed explanation was shared with the entire company. When Darren picked Maya up from school that day, she noticed something unusual about him. You look happy, Daddy, she said as they walked to their car. I'm happy, sweetheart. Something positive happened at work today. Did you create another cool battery? Darren smiled as he lifted her into the car. No, today was about something different. The truth does not always come out right away. But it usually happens in the end. Next morning, Elon summoned Darren to his office. A CNN journalist was waiting to interview both of them. Darren whispered to Elon, I did not agree to this. Trust me, Elon responded. Your story should be heard. The interview focused not only on Darren's technical achievements, but also on his journey from being unfairly fired to working at McDonald's and finally meeting Elon. When the journalist inquired about Maya, Darren expressed deep emotion about balancing his daughter's needs with his professional obligations. The most innovative solution I ever created came from my daughter playing with blocks in her hospital room, he explained. That taught me that we should reconsider how and where good ideas can emerge. The story aired nationally the following week, resonating with viewers across the country. Darren began receiving emails and messages from people who had similar experiences with workplace injustice and career recovery. One message in particular touched him. It came from a woman who had been unfairly fired while battling breast cancer. She wrote, Your story gave me the courage to fight back. Thank you for demonstrating that second chances are possible. Recognizing the powerful impact of Darren's experience, Elon Musk announced a new Tesla initiative called the Second Chance Innovation Program. It would open up opportunities for talented individuals who had experienced career setbacks due to circumstances beyond their control. Elon explained at the press conference that talent does not disappear when a person goes through a difficult time. Sometimes that's when the most creative thinking occurs. Darren stood beside him on the podium, still amazed at how far he had come since that McDonald's drive-thru window. Other companies started to take notice. Within months, similar programs appeared at major tech companies and manufacturers. Human resource departments across the country began reviewing their dismissal policies and developing more flexible work arrangements for employees facing personal challenges. Tesla began production of the new battery, which increased the range of their vehicles beyond that of competitors. Orders increased, as did the company's stock price. The board, which was previously skeptical of Elon's decision to rehire Darren, now cites it as one of the best personnel moves in company history. Darren's life changed in both big and small ways. His salary enabled him to move into a better apartment near Maya's school. He set up a college fund for her future and was finally able to afford the specialized treatments that were not covered by insurance. 6 months after his confrontation with Victor, Darren received some wonderful news. Maya's doctors declared her in remission. The cancer was gone. They would continue to monitor her closely, but her prognosis was excellent. That night, Darren and Maya had a special dinner. Aisha joined them after becoming close friends with both. As Maya talked about her teacher and friends, Darren felt a sense of contentment he hadn't experienced in years. Aisha whispered, "She looks so much better," while Maya was distracted by dessert. "You did an amazing job with her." "We've come a long way," Darren acknowledged. "Both of us." The following week, Elon summoned Darren to his office again. He handed him a draft of a press release and asked him to review it. The headline read, "Tesla opens new innovation center for flexible engineering teams." "What is this?" Darren inquired, scanning the document. Elon explained what would happen next. "We are establishing a new division based on your hospital room approach. Engineers will have greater freedom to work remotely in diverse teams with flexible hours. We call it the Maya model of innovation." Darren looked up, stunned. "You are naming it after my daughter?" "With your permission," Elon responded. "She deserves credit for having inspired the approach." That evening, Darren informed Maya of the new program named in her honor. She giggled, unsure of the significance but delighted that people thought her block tower was so important. "Can I build more towers for your work?" she asked. "Anytime, sweetie. Your ideas are always appreciated." As he tucked her into bed, Darren reflected on their journey from the desperate days following his firing, to the depths of Maya's illness, and finally to the McDonald's drive-thru where everything changed. Each step had been painful, but necessary to get to this point. A year ago, he couldn't have imagined his life. Now he couldn't imagine anything else. His second chance had far-reaching consequences, touching lives he would never know and inspiring changes in businesses he would never see. All because one day, Elon Musk stopped for a burger and noticed the person behind the window. And as he kissed Maya goodnight, Darren realized that the most significant breakthrough wasn't the battery design or the innovation model. It was the simple truth that everyone deserves to be seen, valued, and occasionally given a second chance. 6 months after launching the Maya model, Tesla held a special ceremony to commemorate the opening of the new innovation center. The modern structure features adaptable workspaces, family-friendly areas, and even a children's play corner filled with building blocks. Darren stood beside Elon on stage as they prepared to cut the ribbon. Maya was also present, dressed in a custom-made Tesla lab coat, her health restored and her eyes bright with excitement. "Before we opened this center," Elon told the assembled crowd, "I'd like to share something I've never said publicly before." Darren looked at him with curiosity. This was not part of the planned program. "Many people believe Darren's story began when I stopped by McDonald's that day," Elon continued. "The truth is more complex and personal." The audience fell silent as they sensed something important was about to happen. Elon said quietly, 25 years ago, I was fired from a tech startup I believed in. It wasn't because I lacked skills or dedication. It was office politics. Someone was threatened by my ideas and had the CEO's ear." Darren looked at Elon, surprised by the revelation. Elon continued, "At the same time, my younger brother was seriously ill. I was broke, devastated, and responsible for helping him pay his medical bills. I felt like I had failed at everything important." The audience was completely silent, captivated by this unexpected glimpse into Elon's past. "What saved me was a mentor who saw potential where others saw failure, and who gave me another chance when I needed it the most." Elon's voice became more emotional than Darren had previously heard it. That second chance altered everything, not only for me, but also for thousands of employees and millions of customers. Elon turned to confront Darren directly. I didn't just happen to stop by that McDonald's. I knew you worked there. What? Darren whispered, perplexed. After Victor resigned, HR discovered some troubling patterns in his management history. Your case stood out. I requested your file, saw the injustice, and instructed someone to track down where you had gone. Elon smiled slightly. I needed that burger like I needed a hole in my skull. But I needed to see for myself the type of man you were. Murmurs echoed throughout the audience as they processed this revelation. Did you plan it? Darren inquired, stunned. I intended to observe you. What happened next was up to you. Elon pointed to Darren's notebook, which he still carried everywhere. When I saw those designs on McDonald's napkins, I realized you were still an engineer at heart. Even though everything fell apart, I remained an entrepreneur. Maya tugged at Darren's hand. What does he say, Daddy? Darren knelt beside her. He says he found me on purpose, sweetheart. It wasn't pure luck. Elon continued to address the crowd. The Maya model encompasses more than just flexible work environments. It's about realizing that talent doesn't vanish in difficult times. Sometimes that's when it shines the brightest. It is about recognizing that a company's most valuable resource is its employees and their potential. He placed his hand on Darren's shoulder. Some will describe what I did as unusual or inappropriate. Perhaps it was. But I believe that if more companies looked for the brilliance in those who had stumbled, and if more leaders gave me the same opportunity, our innovation landscape would be transformed. As the missing pieces came together, Darren's eyes welled up with tears. Elon had not simply been a good person making a kind gesture. He'd been repaying a debt from his own past, completing a cycle that had started decades ago. I never told you this, Elon explained, turning back to Darren, because I wanted you to believe in yourself and not feel like a charity case. You deserve everything you've accomplished here. I just opened a door that should not have been closed. As they cut the ribbon, with Maya assisting, Darren felt a deep sense of understanding. This wasn't just his story, or Elon's story. It was about the unseen connections that bind us, and how one person's second chance could ripple through years and lives, creating more opportunities for others. Later, as Maya happily played in the new building's block corner, building towers that could one day inspire more innovations, Darren approached Elon privately. He said, "Thank you for telling me the truth. Though I'm still processing it." Elon smiled. The world perceives me as someone who makes significant decisions based on data and strategy. Usually, that is true. He looked over at Maya, who was making an intricate pattern with the blocks. However, sometimes the most important decisions stem from a more personal place. Is that your brother? I'm healthy and well now, thanks to that second chance. Elon's gaze held Darren's. Just as Maya is because of yours. As they watched Maya play, surrounded by engineers who had already adopted her innovative approach to building, Darren realized the final piece of the puzzle. What appears to be the end of something, such as being fired or working at McDonald's, is often the beginning of something new. Sometimes what appears to be lucky timing is the result of someone recognizing your worth when you have forgotten it yourself. And sometimes the most inspiring actions take place in quiet moments of recognition between people who believe that everyone deserves the opportunity to become who they are meant to be. The story that started at a drive-through window had grown into something much larger. A reminder that behind every success lies an unseen hand, a moment of faith, and the power of a second chance. Thank you for watching The Second Chance, a story about recognition and redemption. I hope the story of Darren and Elon touched your heart today. Where are you watching from? Please leave your location in the comments below. I'd like to know which part of the world this story reached. If this message about second chances and recognizing hidden potential resonated with you, please click the like button to help spread some kindness today. Every like helps more people find this story. And if you enjoyed this video, click on the one that is currently on your screen for another inspiring story that may just brighten your day. Until next time, remember that the greatest potential can be found in the most unexpected places.